Maya Turner felt the transport shuttle shake as it approached the massive orbital station, hanging in the darkness of space. She pressed her face against the small window and watched as Zenith Prime grew larger with each passing moment. The station looked like a giant wheel spinning slowly against the backdrop of distant stars. Lights flickered across its surface like fireflies dancing in the night. This was going to be her new home, and she still could not believe how far she had traveled from Earth. The 16-year-old girl adjusted the straps of her duffel bag as the shuttle docked with a metallic clang that echoed through the passenger compartment. She took a deep breath and stood up with the other passengers. Her dark skin caught the artificial lighting of the shuttle, and her brown eyes scanned the exit with a mix of excitement and nervousness. Maya had left everything familiar behind on Earth to join her father, Gerald Turner, who worked as a maintenance engineer on this remote station at the edge of human territory. The airlock doors hissed open and Maya stepped into the main corridor of Zenith Prime. The ceiling stretched high above her head and the walkway seemed to go on forever in both directions. Hundreds of people moved through the space like they knew exactly where they were going. Some wore uniforms that marked them as station crew, while others dressed in casual clothes that suggested they were civilians or families of workers. Maya noticed a few aliens mixed into the crowd and her eyes widened with wonder. She had seen pictures of other species before, but seeing them in person was completely different. A tall man with the same dark skin and warm smile pushed through the crowd toward her. Gerald Turner had not changed much since she last saw him 6 months ago during his brief visit to Earth. His arms wrapped around her in a tight hug that lifted her feet off the ground. Maya laughed and hugged him back just as tightly. She had missed her father more than she wanted to admit. Gerald grabbed her bag and led her through the station corridors while pointing out important locations along the way. The medical bay was on level 3, and the main cafeteria stayed open 24 hours because the station never truly slept. The recreation area had a gym and entertainment facilities that Maya could use whenever she wanted. Her father talked quickly like he was afraid he might forget something important. Maya tried to memorize everything, but the station was so much bigger than she expected. They arrived at the residential sector where crew members and their families lived in small apartments built into the station walls. Gerald palmed the door lock and it slid open with a soft whoosh. The quarters were not large, but they felt cozy and lived in. A small living area connected to a kitchenette and 2 bedrooms branched off to the side. Maya noticed that her father had already set up her room with a bed and desk and storage units for her belongings. She dropped her bag on the floor and sat on the bed, testing the mattress. It felt firm but comfortable. The walls were plain gray metal, but her father had installed a viewport screen that could display images of Earth or deep space or whatever she wanted. Maya smiled at the gesture, knowing he had tried to make the space feel welcoming for her. Gerald leaned against the door frame with his arms crossed. He explained that she would start at the Station Education Center in 2 days, which would give her time to adjust to the time cycle and explore a bit. The center taught children from ages 5 to 18, and students came from all over the station. Some were kids of crew members like herself, while others belonged to visiting diplomats or traders who stayed on Zenith Prime for extended periods. Maya would be in the upper-level classes with other teenagers her age. That evening, they ate dinner together in their quarters. Gerald had prepared a meal that reminded Maya of home with rice and vegetables and protein that almost tasted like chicken. They talked about her journey and her friends back on Earth and how her grandmother was doing. Maya's mother had passed away 2 years earlier from an illness that came on suddenly and took her quickly. The loss still hurt like a fresh wound, but time had made it easier to breathe around the pain. Gerald did not mention her mother directly, but Maya saw the sadness in his eyes when the conversation went quiet. He had taken the job on Zenith Prime partly to deal with his grief and partly to secure a better future for Maya. The pay was excellent and the experience would open doors for him back on Earth if they ever decided to return after dinner. Maya unpacked her belongings slowly and carefully. She had not brought much because space on the transport was limited and expensive. Clothes took up most of the room in her bag, along with a few personal items that meant something special to her. At the bottom of the duffel, she found her training uniform folded neatly. The white GI still smelled faintly of the dojo back on Earth where she had spent 5 years learning self-defense master. Kim had been a strict but fair teacher who drilled discipline and technique into every student who walked through his door. Maya had started training when she was 11 after her mother suggested it might help her feel more confident navigating the world. What began as simple karate lessons expanded to include judo and practical street defense techniques. Master Kim taught her that fighting was always the last option, but if it became necessary, she should end it quickly and efficiently. Maya held the uniform and thought about all the hours she had spent on the training mats, the bruises and sore muscles and moments of frustration when a technique would not come together, but also the sense of accomplishment when something finally clicked and her body moved the way it was supposed to. The confidence that grew slowly over years of practice until it became part of who she was. She hung the uniform in her closet and wondered if she would ever need those skills on Zenith Prime. The station seemed safe and orderly, with security officers patrolling regularly and rules that everyone followed. Maya hoped she could just focus on her studies and make friends and enjoy this new adventure without any complications. Later that night, she lay in bed staring at the viewport screen, which displayed a slowly rotating view of Earth. The blue and green planet looked so small from this distance, and Maya felt a pang of homesickness wash over her. But she also felt excited about the possibilities waiting for her on Zenith Prime. This was a chance to start fresh and be whoever she wanted to be. Sleep came slowly, but when it finally arrived, Maya dreamed of stars and new beginnings. The education center occupied an entire section of Zenith Prime's civilian quarter, and Maya stood outside the main entrance feeling butterflies dance in her stomach. Students of various ages streamed through the doors in groups and pairs, chatting and laughing like they had known each other forever. Maya took a deep breath and joined the flow of bodies moving into the building. The interior was nothing like her old school on Earth. Holographic displays floated in the air showing schedules and announcements and maps of the facility. The walls were interactive screens that changed colors and patterns as students walked past them. Adaptive learning stations lined the hallways where kids could access information about any subject imaginable. Everything looked expensive and advanced and a little bit intimidating. Maya found the administration desk where a friendly woman with red hair helped her complete her registration. The woman handed her a data pad that contained her class schedule and a map of the center and basic rules that all students needed to follow. Maya thanked her and studied the schedule as she walked toward her first class. Galactic history was listed for first period in room 2-14, which according to the map was on the second level. She climbed the stairs and found the classroom without too much trouble. The door was already open and students had claimed seats scattered throughout the room. Maya hesitated in the doorway as conversations died down and dozens of eyes turned to look at her. She kept her expression calm and neutral even though her heart was beating faster. Being the new kid was never easy, and being one of the only black students in the room made it even harder. The teacher, Mr. Holland, looked up from his desk and smiled warmly at her. He was a middle-aged man with gray hair and kind eyes that crinkled at the corners. He welcomed Maya to the class and pointed to an empty seat near the middle of the room. She walked over and sat down while pulling out her data pad. The other students gradually returned to their conversations, but Maya could feel glances being thrown her way. Mr. Holland began the lesson by discussing the formation of the Terran Federation and how humanity had expanded beyond Earth to colonize other worlds. Maya found the subject fascinating and took careful notes. She had always loved history because it helped her understand how the present came to be. The teacher called on her once to answer a question about early space exploration, and she answered confidently. Mr. Holland nodded with approval and moved on to the next topic. When the class ended, Maya gathered her things and headed to her next lesson. The morning passed in a blur of new faces and unfamiliar routines. Her teachers all seemed competent and welcoming, and the coursework did not appear too difficult. She had worried that station schools might be more advanced than Earth schools, but so far everything felt manageable. Lunchtime arrived and Maya made her way to the cafeteria following the crowd of hungry students. The space was enormous, with long tables arranged in rows and food stations offering dozens of different options. She grabbed a tray and selected items that looked safe and familiar. Rice and vegetables and some kind of meat that might have been synthesized but tasted good enough. Finding a place to sit was harder than getting food. All the tables seemed to be claimed by established groups who had been friends for months or years. Maya did not want to intrude, so she found an empty table near the back and sat down alone. She told herself it was fine and that making friends took time. She focused on her food and tried not to notice the looks from other students. Three girls sat at a table across from her, and Maya caught them staring in her direction. The leader appeared to be a tall blonde girl with perfect hair and expensive clothes. She leaned close to her friends and whispered something that made them all laugh. Maya recognized the behavior immediately. Mean girls existed everywhere, apparently even on orbital stations at the edge of space. The blonde girl caught Maya looking and smirked. She said something else to her friends, and they all turned to stare openly now. Maya held eye contact for a moment, then calmly returned her attention to her lunch. Master Kim had taught her that bullies fed on reactions. If you did not give them the fear or anger they wanted, they usually moved on to easier targets. After lunch, Maya had a free period, so she decided to explore the station a bit more. She wandered through corridors she had not seen before, discovering shops and recreation areas and quiet spaces where people could relax. She found the gym her father had mentioned and peeked inside. The equipment looked standard, with weights and machines and a large open area with training mats on the floor. Maya felt a pull toward those mats. Her body remembered the countless hours spent training, and part of her missed the physical challenge. She made a mental note to come back later when she had proper clothes and more time. Keeping up with her training would help her stay centered in this new environment. She returned to the education center for her afternoon classes. Science and mathematics filled the next few hours, and Maya discovered she was ahead of most students in both subjects. The teacher, Mrs. Palmer, praised her understanding of complex equations and asked if she had studied advanced mathematics on Earth. Maya explained that her old school had a strong STEM program, and she had always enjoyed the logical nature of numbers. The final class of the day was tactical simulation, which turned out to be a course teaching students about strategy and problem solving in various scenarios. The instructor, Mr. Cole, set up a holographic battle situation and asked students to work in teams to find the best solution. Maya partnered with a quiet boy named Alex Bryant, who seemed nice enough. Together they analyzed the scenario and proposed a strategy that impressed Mr. Cole. Alex smiled at her as class ended. He mentioned that she was really good at thinking strategically and asked if she wanted to partner up again for future simulations. Maya agreed, feeling grateful to have made at least one potential friend on her first day. As she walked back to her quarters that evening, Maya reflected on the day. It had not been terrible, but it had not been great either. The classes were interesting and the teachers seemed capable. She had maybe made one friend in Alex, but she had also attracted the attention of those mean girls, which could become a problem. Gerald was waiting when she got home, and he asked about her day over dinner. Maya told him about her classes and the cafeteria and the gym she had found. She did not mention the blonde girl and her friends because there was nothing to tell yet. Just some looks and whispered comments. Nothing worth worrying her father about. That night, Maya changed into comfortable clothes and practiced some basic forms in her bedroom. Her body moved through the familiar movements with precision and grace. Punch, block, kick, turn. The routine calmed her mind and reminded her of who she was. She was Maya Turner, and she did not scare easily. Whatever challenges Zenith Prime had waiting for her, she would face them the same way she faced everything else, with calm confidence and quiet strength. The first week on Zenith Prime passed quickly as Maya settled into her new routine. She woke early each morning and ate breakfast with her father before heading to the education center. Her classes challenged her in good ways, and she found herself enjoying the academic work more than she expected. The teachers recognized her abilities and often called on her to answer difficult questions or demonstrate concepts to other students. Maya's success in the classroom did not go unnoticed. Other students began to see her as competition or as someone who made them look bad by comparison. She tried to downplay her intelligence and avoid appearing like a show-off, but excellence was hard to hide. When Mr. Cole asked her to explain her strategic thinking and tactical simulation, the entire class watched as she broke down her decision-making process with clear logic. The blonde girl from the cafeteria was in that class. Maya had learned her name was Chloe Bennett, and she came from a wealthy family back on Earth. Her father held an important position in the Federation government, and Chloe acted like royalty because of it. She sat with her two friends Katie Morgan and Lauren Price, who followed her around like loyal servants. Chloe's expression darkened as Maya explained her tactical approach to the class. When Mr. Cole praised Maya's thinking and suggested other students should study her methods, Chloe's jaw tightened with obvious irritation. Maya caught the look but ignored it. She had dealt with jealous classmates before, and the best approach was always to stay focused on her own work. The bullying started small and subtle. Whispered comments in the hallways just loud enough for Maya to hear. "She's probably cheating," or "I bet the teachers go easy on her or she thinks she's so special." Maya walked past without reacting even though the words stung a little. Master Kim had taught her that responding to small provocations only encouraged bigger ones. Chloe began bumping into Maya in the corridors. The collisions were clearly deliberate but disguised as accidents. "Sorry, didn't see you there," Chloe would say with fake sweetness while her friends giggled behind their hands. Maya simply stepped aside and continued walking without acknowledging the behavior. In the cafeteria, Chloe and her friends made a show of moving to a different table whenever Maya sat nearby. They would gather their trays and walk away while talking loudly about not wanting to sit near certain people. Other students noticed the behavior and some looked uncomfortable while others seemed amused by the drama. Maya ate her lunch calmly and refused to let their actions affect her appetite. She had experienced worse back on Earth where racial prejudice sometimes mixed with regular teenage cruelty to create truly ugly situations. Chloe was just a spoiled rich girl who did not like being outshined. Maya could handle that. Alex started sitting with Maya during lunch, which helped make the meal periods less lonely. He was a nice kid who loved strategy games and holographic novels. They talked about their classes and the station and life back on Earth. Alex mentioned that Chloe had bullied other students before and usually got away with it because of her father's position. He warned Maya to be careful and maybe try to avoid making Chloe angrier. Maya appreciated the concern, but she had no intention of making herself smaller to appease a bully. She would continue doing her best in class and living her life the way she wanted. If Chloe could not handle that, it was Chloe's problem, not hers. One afternoon, Maya was working in the library on an assignment for her galactic history class. She had found a quiet corner with a good view of the stars through a nearby viewport. The research required accessing historical databases and cross-referencing multiple sources. Maya enjoyed the detective work of piecing together information. Footsteps approached, and Maya looked up to see Chloe flanked by Katie and Lauren. The three girls stood over her table with matching smirks on their faces. Chloe spoke first with that fake sweet voice she liked to use. "Hey, new girl. We were wondering if you need help catching up with the coursework." She paused for effect. "I mean, we know Earth schools aren't exactly up to Federation standards, right?" Maya set down her data pad and looked at Chloe with calm eyes. "I'm doing fine, but thank you for asking." Her voice was polite and even showing no trace of the irritation she felt inside. Katie leaned forward, trying to look at Maya's work. "Are you sure? Because we wouldn't want you to embarrass yourself in front of the whole class. Some of this material can be pretty complex for people who aren't used to advanced education." Lauren added her own comment about how difficult it must be coming from a primitive planet like Earth. The insults were thinly veiled and designed to provoke a reaction. Maya recognized the tactic immediately. They wanted her to get angry or upset or defensive. Then they could claim she was aggressive or could not take friendly advice. Maya kept her expression neutral and her voice steady. "I appreciate your concern, but I've got everything under control." She picked up her datapad and returned her attention to the screen, dismissing them without being overtly rude. The three girls exchanged looks, clearly annoyed that their plan had not worked. Chloe's smile faded and her eyes went cold. She opened her mouth to say something else, but a librarian appeared, asking if there was a problem. Chloe immediately switched back to her sweet, innocent act and said they were just offering to help the new student. The librarian nodded and moved away, but kept glancing back at them. Chloe and her friends left after that, but Maya could feel their eyes on her from across the library. She finished her assignment and gathered her things. As she walked toward the exit, she passed their table and heard Chloe whisper something about putting Maya in her place soon. Katie and Lauren laughed in agreement. Maya did not react externally, but internally she felt a small knot of tension form in her stomach. The situation was escalating, and she knew from experience that bullies like Chloe eventually moved beyond words to physical confrontation. Master Kim had prepared her for that possibility. She just hoped it would not come to that. That evening at dinner, Gerald noticed that Maya seemed quieter than usual. He asked if everything was okay at school, and she assured him it was fine. Just adjusting to everything she told him, which was not entirely a lie. She was adjusting to the station and the classes, and yes, to dealing with Chloe Bennett. Gerald looked like he wanted to push for more information, but he respected Maya's privacy. He reminded her that she could talk to him about anything and that he was always on her side. Maya smiled and thanked him. She knew he meant it, but this was something she needed to handle herself. Running to her father would only make things worse and confirm whatever Chloe thought about her. After dinner, Maya changed into her training clothes and went to the gym. The space was mostly empty at this hour, which suited her perfectly. She stretched carefully and then began running through her forms. Punch, block, kick, turn. Her body moved with practiced grace as muscle memory took over. The physical activity helped clear her mind and release the tension she had been carrying. She worked on combinations and defensive techniques, imagining different scenarios and how she might respond. Master Kim always said that training should prepare the mind as much as the body. You had to visualize confrontations and plan your responses so that when real danger arrived, your body would know what to do without hesitation. Maya finished her workout feeling calmer and more centered. Whatever happened next with Chloe, she would be ready. 2 weeks had passed since Maya arrived on Zenith Prime, and the tension between her and Chloe had grown like a storm building on the horizon. The whispered insults became louder and the deliberate bumps in the hallway became harder. Chloe seemed frustrated that Maya refused to react or show fear. Each day the blonde girl pushed a little further, testing to see where Maya's breaking point might be. Maya continued focusing on her classes and her training. She excelled in every subject and her teachers praised her work ethic and intelligence. This only made Chloe angrier. The rich girl was used to being the center of attention and the smartest student in the room. Maya's presence challenged that position without even trying. Other students had started to notice the conflict. Some avoided Maya, not wanting to become targets themselves by association. Others admired her quiet strength and the way she refused to be intimidated. Alex remained her friend, and a few other kids had started sitting with them at lunch. A girl named Sophie Wells, who was good at mathematics, often asked Maya for help with homework. The gym had become Maya's sanctuary. She went there every evening after classes to train and clear her mind. The physical exertion helped her stay balanced, and the familiar movements reminded her of home. She practiced her forms and worked on techniques that Master Kim had taught her. Defense was always better than offense, he used to say. End conflicts quickly and with minimal harm to everyone involved. A Tuesday afternoon, Maya finished her last class, which was tactical simulation. Mr. Cole had set up a particularly challenging scenario, and Maya's team had solved it faster than any other group. Chloe's team had struggled and failed to find a solution before time ran out. The look Chloe gave Maya as class ended was pure hatred. Maya gathered her things and left the education center, heading toward the gym. She had brought her training clothes in her bag and planned to work out before dinner. The route took her through some of the less populated corridors of the station. Most people used the main walkways, but Maya had discovered these quieter paths that saved time. She was halfway to the gym when she heard footsteps behind her. Maya's training made her aware of her surroundings at all times, and something about the sound made her alert. She slowed her pace and listened carefully. 3 sets of footsteps moving in coordination. Not random pedestrians, but people following her deliberately. Before Maya could turn around, someone shoved her hard from behind. She stumbled forward but caught herself against the wall, preventing a fall. Her bag dropped from her shoulder and hit the floor with a thud. Maya spun around and found herself facing Chloe, Katie, and Lauren. The corridor was empty except for the 4 of them. The nearest intersection was 20 meters away and no one else was visible. Chloe had chosen her moment carefully. The 3 girls spread out, slightly blocking the corridor and cutting off easy escape routes. Chloe's face was twisted with anger and satisfaction. "Think you're better than everyone else," she said in a voice that dripped venom. "Walking around like you own the place, acting so smart and perfect." Her hands were clenched into fists at her sides. Maya's heart rate remained steady despite the situation. Master Kim's voice echoed in her mind, calm and clear. "Assess the threat. Look for exits. Stay calm and centered." She took a slow breath and evaluated her options. The corridor was narrow, which limited how they could attack together. Chloe was directly in front while Katie had moved to the left and Lauren to the right. "I don't want any trouble," Maya said clearly. Her voice was calm and firm, showing no fear. She kept her hands loose at her sides and her weight balanced on both feet. "Ready but not aggressive," Katie laughed harshly. "Too bad, because you've got trouble now. You think you can just come here and show us all up. You think you're special because you're smart." Her voice rose with each word, feeding off Chloe's anger. Lauren added her own complaints about how Maya had embarrassed them in class and made them look stupid. The words tumbled out in a rush, revealing insecurities and jealousies that had been building for weeks. Maya represented everything they feared: someone smarter, more disciplined, and completely unimpressed by their social status. Chloe took a step forward. "We're going to teach you a lesson about respect and knowing your place on this station." Katie and Lauren moved closer as well, tightening the circle around Maya. They expected her to cower or cry or beg them to stop. Rich girls like them were used to intimidation working. Maya watched their body language and positioning. Chloe was the leader and the primary threat. Katie and Lauren were followers who would hesitate if their leader went down first. The narrow corridor actually worked in Maya's favor because they could not surround her completely. She had room to maneuver if she needed it. "Last chance to walk away," Maya said quietly. "Give her one more option to de-escalate." Master Kim always emphasized avoiding fights when possible. Violence should be the absolute last resort when all other options had failed. Chloe's response was immediate and aggressive. She reached forward, grabbing for Maya's shirt with both hands, trying to shove her against the wall. The moment Chloe's fingers touched Maya's collar, everything changed. Maya's body moved with the precision of 5 years of training. Her left hand shot up and grabbed Chloe's right wrist while her right hand secured Chloe's left wrist. She twisted both wrists sharply in opposite directions using proper technique and body mechanics. At the same time, she stepped to the right and slightly back, changing her position relative to Chloe's momentum. Chloe's own forward motion combined with Maya's twist sent the blonde girl stumbling past her. Chloe's shoulder hit the wall hard and she gasped in surprise and pain. The whole movement took less than 2 seconds and used Chloe's aggression against her. Katie lunged from the left side, trying to grab Maya while she was supposedly occupied with Chloe. But Maya had already assessed Katie's position and expected the attack. She sidestepped smoothly, letting Katie's momentum carry her forward into empty space. As Katie passed, Maya swept her leading leg with a precise foot placement. Katie's balance disappeared and she fell forward. Maya guided the fall with a controlled push against Katie's shoulder, ensuring she hit the floor. Hard enough to knock the wind out, but not hard enough to cause serious injury. Lauren hesitated for a crucial moment, her eyes wide with shock at how quickly her friends had gone down. When she finally moved, it was half-hearted and scared. She reached for Maya's arm, but her grip was weak and uncertain. Maya caught Lauren's wrist, applied a basic joint lock, and gently but firmly pressed the girl face first against the corridor wall. She held Lauren there with minimal effort, using leverage and technique rather than strength. The entire confrontation had lasted less than 10 seconds. Katie was on the floor, gasping for air. Chloe was against the wall, holding her shoulder. Lauren was immobilized and starting to whimper. Maya stood calmly in the center of the corridor, breathing normally and completely in control. Chloe recovered first, driven by rage and humiliation. She pushed away from the wall and charged at Maya with a wild, angry scream. There was no technique, just raw fury. Maya released Lauren and turned to face Chloe. This time she used a different approach. As Chloe reached for her, Maya caught both of Chloe's wrists and crossed them in front of the girl's body. She applied pressure to specific nerve points that Master Kim had taught her. The pain was immediate and intense. Chloe's knees buckled and she dropped into a kneeling position, unable to fight against the pain shooting through her arms. Maya held her there for 3 seconds, then released her and stepped back. Her hands returned to a neutral position at her sides, non-threatening and calm. "I said I didn't want trouble," Maya repeated. Her voice was still steady and showed no anger or satisfaction. Just calm statement of fact. The 3 girls stared at her in complete disbelief. Their plan had backfired spectacularly. Chloe's face was red with a mixture of rage, embarrassment, and pain. "You'll pay for this," she managed to sputter while climbing unsteadily to her feet. "No," said a new voice from down the corridor. "You 3 will pay for this." Security Officer Daniel Cruz stepped into view from around the corner, where he had been watching the entire confrontation on his monitoring screen. He was a stocky man in his 40s with sharp eyes that missed nothing. His uniform was crisp and his expression was stern as he looked at the 4 girls in the corridor. "Miss Bennett, Miss Morgan, Miss Price," he said in a voice that carried authority. "Come with me immediately." He turned his gaze to Maya. "Miss Turner, you'll need to come as well. This is standard procedure when there's an incident." Chloe's expression shifted from rage to panic as she realized a security officer had witnessed everything. She opened her mouth to speak, but Officer Cruz held up his hand. "Save it for the security office," he told her. "All of you move now." The group walked through the corridors in tense silence. Katie and Lauren kept their eyes on the floor while Chloe tried to maintain her dignity despite the situation. Maya walked calmly beside Officer Cruz carrying her bag and showing no sign of distress. Her heart rate had already returned to normal and her mind was clear. The security office was located near the main administrative section of the station. Officer Cruz led them into a waiting area and told them to sit while he prepared his report. Chloe sat as far from Maya as possible, while Katie and Lauren huddled together whispering nervously. Maya sat alone and waited patiently. After 10 minutes, Officer Cruz called them in one at a time to give their statements. Maya went first and explained exactly what had happened in clear detail. She described Chloe's initial shove, the attempt to grab her shirt, and how she had defended herself using minimal necessary force. She did not exaggerate or try to make herself look better. Just the facts presented honestly. Officer Cruz nodded as he recorded her statement. He asked a few clarifying questions about her training and why she had not reported the earlier bullying incidents. Maya explained that she had hoped the situation would resolve itself without escalation and that she had not felt truly threatened until today, when Chloe gave her statement. She tried to claim that she and her friends had only approached Maya to talk. She insisted that Maya had attacked them without provocation and that they were the real victims. Officer Cruz listened without expression and thanked her for her statement. Katie and Lauren were called in next. Faced with direct questions from a security officer, they crumbled quickly. Katie admitted that Chloe had been planning to confront Maya for days. Lauren confirmed that they had followed Maya deliberately into a quiet corridor. Both girls seemed terrified of the consequences, and their stories contradicted Chloe's version of events. Officer Cruz returned to the main office and pulled up the surveillance footage from the corridor. Every public space on Zenith Prime had cameras for safety and security. He reviewed the video carefully, watching the confrontation unfold from multiple angles. The footage showed everything exactly as Maya had described it. Chloe's initial shove, the grab for Maya's shirt, Maya's defensive responses that used only enough force to stop the attacks. The officer made a copy of the footage and prepared his final report. Then he contacted the parents and guardians of all 4 girls. Gerald Turner arrived first, his face creased with worry. When he saw Maya sitting calmly in the waiting area, his expression shifted to confusion. "Are you all right?" he asked immediately. "I'm fine, Dad," Maya assured him. "Just had to defend myself." Station Commander Lisa Grant arrived to review the case personally. She was a tall woman with iron gray hair and eyes that had seen everything the galaxy could throw at them. She took incidents involving minors seriously and wanted to ensure everything was handled properly. Chloe's parents showed up 20 minutes later. Her father was a pompous man in an expensive suit who immediately began demanding to know why his daughter had been detained. Her mother looked concerned but remained quiet. Katie's and Lauren's parents arrived shortly after, looking worried and confused about why their daughters were in trouble. Commander Grant assembled everyone in a large conference room. She had reviewed Officer Cruz's report and watched the surveillance footage herself. Now she addressed the room with calm authority. "We have a serious situation here involving assault and bullying. I want everyone to understand exactly what happened before we discuss consequences." She played the surveillance footage on a large screen. The room fell silent as everyone watched Chloe shove Maya and then grab her shirt. They watched Maya defend herself with controlled, precise movements. They saw Katie and Lauren's attempted attacks and Maya's responses. The video made the truth impossible to deny. Chloe's father tried to interrupt, claiming the footage did not show the full context. Commander Grant cut him off with a sharp look. "The footage shows your daughter initiating physical violence against another student," she said firmly. "It shows Miss Turner defending herself with remarkable restraint. Those are the facts." Gerald Turner watched the footage with a mixture of pride and concern. He had known about Maya's training, but seeing her use it in a real situation was different. She had handled herself perfectly, staying calm and using only the force necessary to stop the attacks. Commander Grant turned to Maya. "Miss Turner, you showed excellent judgment and control in a dangerous situation. You attempted to de-escalate verbally before resorting to physical defense. When you did defend yourself, you used appropriate force and stopped as soon as the threat was neutralized." She paused. "You have my commendation for your actions." Then she turned to Chloe, Katie, and Lauren. Her expression hardened. You three initiated an assault on a fellow student in a deliberate and premeditated manner. This is completely unacceptable behavior, and there will be serious consequences. Chloe's father stood up, objecting loudly. His daughter was being treated unfairly, and he would not stand for it. His position in the Federation government meant something, and he expected the commander to take that into account. The threats were clear, even if not stated directly. Commander Grant's expression did not change. She looked at Chloe's father with the kind of steady gaze that had faced down pirates and hostile aliens. "Your position means nothing on my station, sir," she said quietly. "Here I am the authority, and I enforce the rules equally for everyone regardless of who their parents are. If you continue to interrupt, I will have security escort you out and handle this matter without your input." The man's face turned red, but he sat down. His wife put a hand on his arm as if to calm him. Commander Grant continued outlining the consequences for the three girls. They would each receive 2 weeks of station service duty performing necessary but unpleasant tasks under supervision. Formal reprimands would be placed in their permanent educational records. They were required to attend mandatory counseling sessions to address their behavior. And if there were any further incidents of bullying or violence, their families would be transferred off Zenith Prime immediately. Katie and Lauren's parents accepted the punishment without argument. They looked embarrassed and disappointed in their daughters. Chloe's parents were clearly unhappy, but the commander's threat of transfer made them reluctant to push further. Positions on Zenith Prime were highly sought. After and losing one over their daughter's behavior would be humiliating. Commander Grant also mandated that Chloe, Katie, and Lauren were to have no contact with Maya outside of required classes. They were to stay at least 10 meters away from her at all times, unless a teacher or supervisor directed otherwise. Violation of this order would result in immediate transfer. The meeting concluded and families left in small groups. Gerald walked out with Maya, his arm around her shoulders. Once they were alone in the corridor, he pulled her into a tight hug. "I'm proud of you," he said quietly. "You handled that situation better than most adults would have." Maya hugged him back, feeling relief wash over her. She had been worried he might be upset or think she had caused trouble. Instead, he understood that she had done what was necessary to protect herself. That evening, they ate dinner together, and Gerald asked her to show him some of the techniques she had used. Maya demonstrated the basic moves, explaining how each one worked and why she had chosen them in the moment. Her father watched with fascination and respect. He had known she was training, but seeing the results made him realize how serious and dedicated she had been. Maya slept well that night for the first time. Since arriving on Zenith Prime, the confrontation was over and justice had been served. Chloe and her friends would think twice before bothering her again. The station administration had made it clear that bullying would not be tolerated. Maya had proven to herself that her training worked when it mattered most. News traveled fast on Zenith Prime, especially when it involved the daughter of an important Federation official getting taken down by the new girl. By the next morning, everyone at the education center knew about the confrontation in the corridor. Students whispered in clusters between classes, sharing details that grew more exaggerated with each retelling. Maya walked through the hallways, aware of the stares and conversations that stopped when she passed. Some students looked at her with newfound respect, while others seemed nervous or afraid. She kept her expression neutral and focused on getting to her classes. The attention made her uncomfortable, but she understood it was inevitable. Alex found her before first period with a huge grin on his face. "I heard what happened," he said excitedly. "Everyone's talking about how you took down Chloe and her friends without breaking a sweat. Is it true you learned martial arts back on Earth?" Maya nodded. "I trained for 5 years," she confirmed. "Self-defense mostly. I never wanted to use it, but sometimes you don't have a choice." "That's incredible," Alex said. "Chloe has been bullying people for years, and no one ever stood up to her like that. You're basically a hero now." Maya shook her head. "I'm not a hero. I just defended myself." She did not want to be seen as someone who went looking for fights or enjoyed violence. That was not who she was. During lunch, the cafeteria was buzzing with energy. Students kept glancing at Maya's table where she sat with Alex and Sophie. A few brave kids came over to ask questions about what had happened. Maya answered politely but briefly, not wanting to relive the incident over and over. Chloe, Katie, and Lauren sat at a table on the far side of the cafeteria. They kept their heads down and spoke in quiet voices. Other students who used to seek Chloe's approval now avoided her table. The social hierarchy had shifted overnight, and the three girls found themselves isolated and embarrassed. Maya felt a twinge of sympathy despite everything. She had not wanted to humiliate anyone just to defend herself. But Chloe had made choices that led to consequences, and that was not Maya's responsibility. After lunch, a boy named Chris Baker approached Maya in the corridor. He was tall and athletic-looking with an earnest expression. "Hey Maya, I wanted to ask you something," he said. "A bunch of us have been talking, and we were wondering if you might be willing to teach some self-defense classes, like what you know from your training." Maya was surprised by the request. "Teach classes," she repeated. "I don't know if I'm qualified to teach." Chris shook his head. "You're more qualified than anyone else on this station. What you did yesterday was amazing, and a lot of us would feel safer knowing how to defend ourselves too." He paused. "We talked to Mr. Cole about it, and he said if we could get permission from the administration, he'd help us set it up." Sophie joined the conversation, having overheard from nearby. "I think it's a great idea," she said. "Especially for those of us who aren't naturally athletic or strong. Learning technique and confidence could really help." Maya considered the proposal. Master Kim had always taught that knowledge should be shared and that helping others learn self-defense was a noble pursuit. Teaching would also force her to understand the techniques at a deeper level. But she was only 16 and had been on the station for less than 3 weeks. Would anyone take her seriously as an instructor? "Let me think about it," Maya said finally. "I'd need to talk to my dad and get proper permission from Commander Grant. Teaching is a big responsibility." Chris and Sophie both nodded, understanding. "Just let us know," Chris said. "We've already got about 15 people interested, and I bet more would join once it got started." That evening, Maya discussed the proposal with Gerald over dinner. Her father listened carefully as she explained the request and her concerns about being qualified. When she finished, he smiled. "Your Master Kim started teaching when he was 19, he reminded her, "and you've been training for 5 years, which is longer than most people stick with anything. I think you'd be a great teacher." "But what if I mess up?" Maya asked. "What if someone gets hurt or I teach something wrong?" Gerald reached across the table and squeezed her hand. "You're one of the most careful and thoughtful people I know. You'll prepare thoroughly and teach responsibly just like you do everything else. And think about the good you could do. Help kids feel more confident and safe. That's worth a lot." Maya felt warmth spread through her chest. Her father's confidence in her abilities meant everything. "Okay," she said. "I'll do it, but I need to get official approval first." The next day, Maya requested a meeting with Commander Grant. The station commander agreed to see her that afternoon. Maya entered the office feeling nervous but determined. Commander Grant looked up from her desk and gestured for Maya to sit. "Miss Turner, what can I do for you?" the commander asked. Maya explained the request from other students and her willingness to teach basic self-defense if given permission. She outlined what she would cover and how she would ensure safety. She mentioned her 5 years of training and her instructor's teachings about responsibility. Commander Grant listened thoughtfully. When Maya finished, the commander leaned back in her chair. "I think this is an excellent idea," she said. "The station could benefit from having more people trained in basic self-defense, and your performance during the recent incident showed that you have both skill and judgment." She pulled up a form on her computer. "I'll approve this with a few conditions. 1, you'll work with our security department to develop a curriculum they approve. 2, you'll have liability waivers for all participants. 3, you'll file monthly reports on the program's progress. And 4, you'll receive a small stipend for your time since this will be an official station program." Maya's eyes widened, a stipend she had not expected to be paid. "I would have done it for free," she said. Commander Grant smiled. "Good teachers deserve compensation. Besides, this will be part of our new youth development initiative. We've been looking for programs to help young people on the station develop valuable skills. Your class will be the first pilot program." Maya left the office feeling excited and slightly overwhelmed. She had come to Zenith Prime expecting to just attend school and spend time with her father. Now she was going to be teaching self-defense as part of an official station program. Officer Cruz helped her develop a curriculum over the next few days. He had military training and understood both the practical and legal aspects of teaching self-defense. Together, they created a program that focused on awareness avoidance and de-escalation first, with physical techniques as a last resort. The lessons would emphasize control and restraint rather than aggression. Maya posted a notice at the education center announcing the class. It would meet twice a week in the station gym. Participants needed to be at least 12 years old and have parental permission. The first session would be the following Monday. When Monday arrived, Maya was surprised to find 30 students waiting in the gym. Chris and Sophie were there along with Alex and many others she recognized from school. Even a few adults had shown up interested in learning from the girl who had handled herself so well against multiple attackers. Maya stood before the group feeling nervous but ready. She wore her white G for the first time since leaving Earth, and the familiar fabric gave her confidence. "Welcome to basic self-defense," she said clearly. "The first thing you need to understand is that the best fight is the one you avoid. We'll spend most of our time learning awareness and de-escalation. Physical techniques come last." She began with basic principles. Stay aware of your surroundings. Trust your instincts about dangerous situations. Use your voice and body language to project confidence. Seek help when possible. Only fight when there is no other option. The students listened intently, taking mental notes. Maya demonstrated proper stance and basic defensive positions. She emphasized that strength mattered less than technique, and that anyone could learn to defend themselves with practice and training. Over the following weeks, the class grew. Word spread about Maya's teaching style, which was patient and encouraging. She never made anyone feel stupid for not getting a technique right away. She praised effort and improvement. She created a supportive environment where students felt safe to learn and make mistakes. Maya discovered that she loved teaching even more than she expected. Breaking down complex movements into simple steps and seeing students gain confidence as they mastered new skills brought her genuine joy. Master Kim had been right that teaching deepened understanding. Explaining techniques to others forced her to think about them in new ways. 3 months after the confrontation with Chloe, the self-defense class had become one of the most popular activities on Zenith Prime. What started with 30 students had grown to over 60 regular participants, spread across different skill levels and age groups. Maya had organized them into beginner, intermediate, and advanced sessions to ensure everyone received appropriate instruction. The gym became a second home for Maya. She arrived early before each class to prepare the space and review her lesson plans. Officer Cruz often stopped by to observe and offer suggestions. The security officer had become a mentor of sorts, helping Maya develop more advanced curriculum and sharing stories from his military experience that illustrated important principles. The students ranged from young kids barely old enough to join to adults who worked various jobs on the station. Maya treated everyone with the same respect and patience. She never made anyone feel inferior for being less athletic or coordinated. Progress was measured individually and celebrated accordingly. Sophie had become one of Maya's best students. The girl who had been quiet and unsure during the first class now moved with confidence and precision. She had discovered a talent for the art and practiced diligently between sessions. Maya often used Sophie to demonstrate techniques because she had mastered the fundamentals so well. Chris had also excelled, but in a different way. He was naturally strong and athletic, but had learned to temper that strength with control. Maya taught him that real power came from discipline, not aggression. He became her assistant, helping newer students with basic movements, while she worked with more advanced practitioners. The class had created an unexpected community on the station. Students bonded over their shared training, forming friendships that crossed age and social boundaries. The gym often stayed busy after formal sessions ended as people practiced together or just talked. Maya had inadvertently created a space where people felt welcome and supported. Chloe, Katie, and Lauren kept their distance as ordered by Commander Grant. Maya occasionally saw them in the hallways or cafeteria, but they looked away quickly whenever their eyes met. The 3 girls had completed their station service duties and mandatory counseling. They seemed subdued and less arrogant than before. Maya hoped they had learned something from the experience, beyond just avoiding her. One evening after class, a woman in her 30s approached Maya. She introduced herself as Helen Price, and Maya recognized the last name immediately. "You're Lauren's mother," Maya said. Helen nodded, looking uncomfortable. "I wanted to thank you," she said quietly, "for handling that situation with such restraint. You could have hurt my daughter badly, but you chose not to." She paused, gathering her thoughts. "Lauren has been in counseling, and it's helped her realize how badly she was behaving. She asked me to apologize to you on her behalf because she's too ashamed to do it herself." Maya appreciated the gesture even if it came secondhand. I hope she's doing better, she said sincerely. I never wanted anyone to get hurt, including her. Helen smiled sadly. You're a remarkable young woman. My daughter could learn a lot from your example. She thanked Maya again and left. The encounter stuck with Maya for days afterward. She realized that the confrontation had affected everyone involved, not just in the immediate moment, but in lasting ways. Chloe, Katie, and Lauren had faced consequences that forced them to examine their behavior. The other students had seen that bullying did not pay, and that standing up for yourself was possible. And Maya had discovered a purpose beyond just attending school. Commander Grant called Maya to her office one afternoon with news about the self-defense program. The station commander looked pleased as she gestured for Maya to sit. I've been receiving excellent feedback about your classes, she said. Parents are thrilled with how much more confident their children seem. Adults who participate say it's helped them feel safer on the station. You've created something valuable here. Maya felt pride warm her chest. Thank you, ma'am. It means a lot to hear that, Grant continued. We're establishing an official youth development program for the station, and I'd like you to be one of the lead instructors. It would come with a proper stipend and official recognition. You'd help develop other programs beyond just self-defense, things like leadership training, conflict resolution, and life skills. Are you interested? Maya did not hesitate. Yes, absolutely. I'd love to be involved. The commander smiled. Excellent, we'll start putting together a team. You'll work with other instructors and community leaders to create comprehensive programming for young people on the station. This is important work, Maya. You're helping shape the next generation. Over the following weeks, Maya threw herself into the new role. She met with other potential instructors and discussed what programs might benefit station youth. They brainstormed ideas like mentorship programs, academic tutoring, outdoor recreation, and creative arts workshops. Maya shared insights from her own experience about what made young people feel valued and supported. Her self-defense classes continued to grow and evolve. She introduced more advanced techniques for experienced students while maintaining beginner-friendly options for newcomers. She emphasized mental discipline alongside physical skill, teaching students about controlling fear, managing stress, and making smart decisions under pressure. Gerald watched his daughter's transformation with pride. Maya had arrived on Zenith Prime quiet and uncertain about her place. Now she walked with confidence and purpose. She had friends and responsibilities and a community that valued her contributions. The station had become home in ways neither of them expected. One evening, Maya was practicing alone in the gym, working on a complex combination that Master Kim had taught her years ago. The movement required perfect timing and balance. She had performed it hundreds of times, but tonight something clicked and it felt effortless. Her body moved like water, flowing through the forms with grace and power. She finished the sequence and stood still, feeling centered and calm. Master Kim would be proud, she thought. He had taught her that martial arts was about more than fighting. It was about discipline, self-knowledge, and service to others. Maya had embodied those principles without even realizing it. Alex entered the gym and watched her finish. That was beautiful, he said. You make it look so easy. Maya smiled. It's not easy. It's just practice and time. You could do the same with dedication. Alex sat on one of the benches. I wanted to tell you something, he said. Before you came to the station, I was pretty lost. I didn't have many friends and I felt kind of invisible. But your class gave me confidence and your friendship meant a lot. You changed things for me. Maya sat beside him, touched by his honesty. You changed things for yourself, she corrected gently. I just gave you some tools. You did the hard work. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching through the viewport as stars drifted past. The universe was vast and full of unknowns, but here on Zenith Prime, Maya had found her place. She had taken a difficult situation and transformed it into something positive. She had faced bullies and defended herself, then chosen to lift others up rather than seek revenge. That night, Maya video called Master Kim back on Earth. The connection was delayed by light years, but seeing her instructor's face made her smile. She told him about everything that had happened. The bullying, the confrontation, the teaching opportunity. Master Kim listened carefully, his expression thoughtful. When she finished, he nodded slowly. You have honored the training, he said. Not just in how you defended yourself, but in how you chose to respond afterward. Many people would have become bitter or aggressive. You chose compassion and service. That is the true mark of a martial artist. His words meant everything to Maya. She had worried that using her skills in a real fight somehow diminished them. But Master Kim helped her understand that defending yourself was not wrong. What mattered was how you conducted yourself before, during, and after the conflict. Maya ended the call feeling validated and grateful. She had come so far from that nervous girl stepping off the transport shuttle. Zenith Prime had tested her in ways she never expected, but she had risen to meet every challenge. And in doing so, she had discovered strengths she did not know she possessed. 6 months had passed since Maya Turner first arrived on Zenith Prime, and the station felt completely different from that first day. She walked through the corridors with confidence and purpose, greeting people who had become friends and colleagues. The education center was no longer an intimidating unknown, but a familiar space where she excelled and helped others succeed. The youth development program had officially launched with Maya as one of 3 lead instructors. She worked alongside a former teacher named Patricia Lane, who specialized in academic enrichment, and a counselor named Vincent Cole, who focused on emotional well-being and conflict resolution. Together, they had created a comprehensive program that served over 100 young people across different age groups. Maya's self-defense classes remained the most popular offering. She now taught 5 sessions per week at different skill levels. Some students had been training with her for months and had progressed to intermediate techniques. Others were brand new, still learning basic stances and movements. Maya loved watching students develop from uncertain beginners to confident practitioners. The advanced class had become especially rewarding. Students who started in the beginner sessions months ago now performed complex combinations and sparring exercises. Sophie had become skilled enough to assist with teaching beginners. Chris was considering a career in security after graduation. Others had simply gained confidence that carried into other areas of their lives. Maya implemented a mentorship system where experienced students helped newer ones. This created bonds across age groups and reinforced the community aspect of training. The gym had transformed from just a workout space into a place where people supported and encouraged each other. Students celebrated successes together and helped each other through frustrations. Commander Grant visited one of the advanced sessions to observe. She stood quietly at the edge of the mat, watching as Maya led students through defensive techniques against multiple opponents. The commander nodded with approval at the level of discipline and control displayed. After class, she approached Maya with a serious expression. "Walk with me, Miss Turner," she said. They strolled through the station corridors while Grant shared her thoughts. "The program you've built has exceeded all expectations," she began. "You've created something that makes this station better and safer. Young people are more confident. Parents feel their children are learning valuable life skills. Even adults who participate report feeling more secure." Maya listened, feeling proud but also humble. "I had a lot of help," she said. "Officer Cruz developed half the curriculum. Patricia and Vincent made sure we addressed the whole person, not just physical skills. This was a team effort." Grant smiled. "Good leaders recognize the contributions of others. That's another sign of your maturity." She paused at a viewport overlooking the stars. "I wanted to inform you that the Federation is interested in expanding this program to other stations. They've asked me to recommend someone who could train instructors at those locations." Maya's eyes widened. "You mean travel to other stations and teach people how to run similar programs?" "Exactly," Grant confirmed. "It would be a significant responsibility, and you'd need to finish your education here first. But in a year or 2, this could become a career path if you're interested, helping establish youth development programs across the Federation. Your age would actually be an advantage because you understand what young people need and face." Maya felt excitement and nervousness swirled together in her stomach. The idea of traveling to different stations and spreading what she had learned seemed both thrilling and daunting. "I'll definitely think about it," she said. "Right now I want to focus on making the program here as good as it can be." "Smart answer," Grant said. "Build your foundation first, then expand. That's the right approach." That evening, Maya shared the news with Gerald over dinner. Her father's face lit up with pride as she described the commander's proposal. "Your mother would be so proud," he said with emotion thick in his voice. "You've taken everything she taught you about strength and compassion and used it to help others. That's her legacy living on through you." Maya felt tears prick her eyes. She missed her mother every day, but moments like this made her feel connected to that love and guidance. "I wish she could see this," she said quietly. Gerald reached across the table and squeezed her hand. "She can," he said firmly. "I believe that. The following week brought an unexpected development. Lauren Price approached Maya after one of the beginner self-defense sessions. She stood nervously, shifting her weight from foot to foot. "Maya, could I talk to you for a minute?" she asked. Maya nodded, and they stepped into a quiet corner of the gym. Lauren took a deep breath before speaking. "I wanted to apologize for how I treated you when you first arrived. I was horrible, and you didn't deserve any of it." She looked down at her hands. "I've been in counseling, and I've realized I was insecure and took it out on you. That was wrong." Maya appreciated the direct apology. "Thank you for saying that," she replied. "I know it's not easy to admit when you've made mistakes," Lauren continued. "I also wanted to ask if I could join your class. Not to bother you or anything. I just think learning what you teach might help me become a better person, more confident in healthy ways instead of tearing others down." Maya considered the request carefully. 6 months ago, she might have refused, wanting to keep distance from someone who had hurt her. But she had grown since then and understood that people could change if given the opportunity. "Everyone deserves a chance to learn and improve," she said. "You're welcome to join, but you'll be held to the same standards as everyone else." Lauren nodded eagerly. "I understand. Thank you for giving me a chance." Over the following weeks, Lauren proved to be a dedicated student. She worked hard and never complained about the physical demands of training. She treated other students with respect and seemed genuinely interested in becoming better. Maya watched her progress with cautious optimism. True change took time, but Lauren appeared to be making a real effort. Chloe and Katie had left Zenith Prime. Their families had requested transfers to other stations. Maya heard through the gossip network that Chloe's father had been reassigned and that Katie's family had decided a fresh start elsewhere would be best. Maya felt no satisfaction at their departure, just mild relief that a difficult chapter was fully closed. The education center felt lighter without that tension hanging in the air. Students who had been quiet and nervous under Chloe's social reign became more open and friendly. The whole atmosphere shifted toward something healthier and more supportive. Maya realized that bullies affected entire communities, not just their direct targets. Alex had become one of Maya's closest friends on the station. They studied together and trained together and spent free time exploring different parts of Zenith Prime. He had grown more confident over the months and credited Maya's friendship and teaching with helping him find himself. Maya knew he had done the work, but she was glad to have been part of his journey. Sophie announced that she wanted to become a self-defense instructor too. She had fallen in love with the discipline and wanted to help others the way Maya had helped her. Maya encouraged her and began training Sophie in teaching methods alongside physical techniques. Having another instructor would allow the program to expand and serve even more people. One evening, Maya stood in the gym after everyone had left. She moved through her forms slowly and precisely. Each movement was deliberate and controlled. The familiar patterns centered her mind and reminded her of how far she had traveled both physically and mentally. She thought about the scared 16-year-old who had arrived on Zenith Prime 6 months ago. That girl had been strong but uncertain about her place in the world. She had been tested by bullies and responded with discipline and restraint. She had chosen to build something positive from a negative experience, and in doing so, she had discovered a purpose that extended far beyond just defending herself. Maya finished her forms and bowed to the empty room. Master Kim had taught her that respect was essential in martial arts. Respect for your opponents, your teachers, your students, and yourself. Maya had embodied that principle, and it had shaped everything she built on Zenith Prime. Gerald met her outside the gym, and they walked back to their quarters together. The corridors were quiet at this hour, with most people in their homes or working night shifts. Father and daughter talked about their days, sharing stories and laughter. Their relationship had deepened during these months on the station. Living together and supporting each other had brought them closer. As they reached their door, Maya looked out a nearby viewport at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there were other stations where young people faced similar challenges: bullying, insecurity, fear. Maybe someday she would visit those places and share what she had learned, help create communities where everyone felt safe and valued. But that was future work. Right now, Maya was exactly where she needed to be. She had found her place on Zenith Prime not by trying to fit in or make herself smaller, but by staying true to who she was. She had faced adversity with courage and chosen compassion over revenge. She had built something meaningful that would outlast her time on the station. The new black girl who had been cornered by bullies had done more than turn the tables.